Hey, very good afternoon, gentlemen. Very good afternoon. Thanks for participating in this wonderful session. So today I'm going to discuss about APC final interview preparation. So how the candidate has to be ready for the final interview. So before I start this session, so let me give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Nanmugan. So I'm the member of RICS and also MCIOB, and I have been doing this mentoring over the last year. So under my supervision, so I have gave like a 100% success rate. So the now I'm taking the, like a second batch, and if any of you have thought of preparing your final interview, so you may also take some guidance from me. And this is going to be like a 30-minute session. So in this session, so I'm going to discuss about what is APC interview and how the interview will be scheduled by RICS, and how the candidate has to be prepared, and what they ask, and what do's and don'ts. I mean, everything that the candidate should be aware of the final interview. Okay, so I'm holding BSc Honors in Quantity Surveying, which is fully accredited by RICS. And subsequently, I got my membership from both CIOB and as well as RICS. So I have nearly 17 years of experience in the construction and as well as oil and gas. Okay. So let us go to the session. Okay. So first, once your APC preliminary has been approved, okay. So some candidates may have a RICS accredited degree. For them, the APC preliminary is not going to be applicable. So for them, it is like a direct interview. So upon submission of your a summary of experience and the case study, so you will get a call from the interview. I mean, you will get a call from RICS for the final interview. And the candidates whoever do not have RICS accredited degree, eventually you have to go through a preliminary review. So preliminary review is nothing but before RICS invite you for the interview, they will review the summary of experience, which is the 5,500 words, and also case study 3,000 words. So upon your submission, the RICS assistant will review your 8,500 words of SOE and case study. If your report, met the required level, then they will invite you for final interview. And if your report did not met the required level of standard and structure, you may get some sort of comments from RICS before you pursue the final interview. Okay, so this session is purely for the candidates, those who are ready for final interview. That means if you have already submitted your summary of experience and case study, then if you are looking for someone to give a mentoring on how to prepare the interview and how the competencies will be discussed, okay, and what are the questions usually come from the panel, and how the how I supposed to behave in the interview. So you can get all kind of tips and guidance from me. Okay, so the interview will take totally 60 minutes. Okay, so this has been categorized by the following. So once you once the interview has begun, okay, so you have to check the timing in your laptop, because nowadays all the interviews are scheduled over the MS Teams. So that means no more physical interview, no more interviews in the RICS centers. All the interview will take conducted by RICS through online. So I advise each one of you to have a clock, or just have a look on the timing in your laptop, or if you are attending the interview through your mobile phone, just keep in mind the timing. So mostly the interview may start 10 o'clock or 10:30, either at the beginning of the clock or the mid of clock. Okay, so that means if it's 1 or 1:30, 9, 9:30, somewhat like that. So you always pay attention on your timing. Okay. First thing, once you enter the interview, the first thing, the panel may give an introduction about themselves. In some cases, they will straight away ask you to give the presentation about your case study. So the case study has to be presented by the candidates. So many of you have a question. So whether do I have to take only 10 minutes, or can I close early, or can I take little more time? So I would strongly recommend, do not take more time, and do not close the presentation early. If they give 10 minutes, you have to consume all 10 minutes. So you should not take more than 10 minutes, and you should not close before 10 minutes. So hardly 5 seconds, 5 seconds also some assessors are not agreeing. So you have to precisely make 10 minutes. Suppose if you start your presentation by early morning 10 o'clock, so just keep an eye on your laptop to see the timing. So once you started, whatever left, whether the presentation is fully completed or not, so no matter, you stop your presentation exactly at 10:10. Suppose if your interview start like at 10:30, in 10:40 you close it. Okay, so 10 minutes you have to exactly consume it. You cannot close it like 30 seconds before or like 30 seconds after. So don't expect the assessor to stop. So you manage your time and you focus on your timing. So exactly 10 minutes you have to talk about that. And the next slides we will talk about how the 10 minutes can be splintered. Okay. And then after you complete the presentation, the panel will ask you the question from your own case study. Okay. So that will be another 10 minutes. So 20 minutes has gone. And then the panel will start questioning from the CPD, your CPD record. So usually the CPD will be 48 hours, like backward, 12 months from the date of your submission. Okay, and then the core and optional competencies. This is core competency 6 number, and optional is 2 competencies. So totally say 8 competencies. Okay, so 30 minutes they are going to question you from the core and optional competencies. And the last 10 minutes, okay, the last 10 minutes inclusive of your mandatory competency as well as your professional ethics code of conduct. Okay, so the professional ethics code conduct practice and other mandatory competencies, this is totally 11 numbers. So all the 11 competency will going to cover within this 8 minutes. So the last 2 minutes will be closed by the panel interview. Okay, so this is how the 60 minutes interview has been split. Okay, so now how to do the case study presentation. This is my suggestion. I mean, there is no precise rules that you have to make the case study presentation exactly the way I suggest. So this is my opinion only. So if you have some other good method, you can also just try it. But as an experienced surveyor and also a member of both forum and having like a significant amount of experience in the mentoring and as well as my core profession, so I strongly recommend the candidates to take some advice from the guidance. So you have a 10 minutes time, so I split the 10 minutes into like a 6 part. Okay, so the first 1 minute you talk about your personal introduction. So do not talk about your schoolings or do not talk about your early studies. You straight away talk about I am like a Jacob and I am holding BSc Quantity Surveying or like a BE Civil Engineering from so and so college, and I am also like a member of if you are like a member of other institution, if you are a member of AAQS or like if you are a member of like MCIOB or any other Sri Lankan Institute of Quantity Survey or like any other institution. Okay, so talk about your academic and professional qualification. This should not go beyond 10 seconds. So 10 seconds is more than enough. Okay, so we are going to talk about your name. I am like Jacob. I am holding civil engineering from this college and also a professional member of so and so institution. So 10 seconds is going to be enough. And then talk about your professional experience. So talking about from the beginning. So suppose if you have 10 years or like a 20 years experience, you talk about some of the key positions and the key companies where you are really intent to explore. I mean, where you are really intent to elevate to the assessor. So if you have a more than 5-6 company experience, you don't have to say everything about it. So talk about some of them where you have spent more times. Okay, so no need to talk about the companies where you have worked on a short-term basis like 6 months or 1 year. So always focused on the companies where you work more than 3 years. Okay, and you take like hardly 30 seconds. So 30 seconds is more than enough. And then you talk about your a current designation with your primary roles. So current designation primary roles means talk about the most recent. If you are unemployed, talk about the most recent one. If you are currently employed, talk about your current designation. If you're a contracts manager, if you're like a commercial manager, if you're a quantity surveyor, then say I'm currently working as a quantity surveyor with this company. Okay, then that is more than enough. You don't have to talk about your roles and responsibilities, just the company and the designation. This is 1 minute. And then you straight away get into the case study topic, because you should not consume more time, because you have limited time for your presentation. So it is very important for you to manage your timing for the presentation, because if you straight away talk about the key issue and other stuff also, you will end up sometimes, if you are incompetent, you know, in terms of giving the presentation or speaking in like English language, then it may become very challenging for you. So I strongly recommend you follow the protocol and you try to practice yourself. Okay, then you talk about the case study topic. Suppose if your case study topic is about the commercial challenges that you have handled in the, like a Burj Khalifa project, you know, for something new decline or like a variation or provisional sum or like any like liquidated damages or any like additional work, okay, or like any material management, whatever it is. So you talk about the case study topic and also the project brief, because any case study you always, you know, might have picked up from the project where you worked before or where you are currently working. So talk about the project and also the case study topic which you are intended to give a presentation. And then you talk about the key issue. The key issue you can take 2 minutes, because once you brief the like a case study topic, then you are eventually are going to talk about the key issue. What was the issue? Suppose if it's like a EOT clients, you know, if you are like a contractor representative or like a client representative, then you have to give like a professional judgment, because the judgment is very important. Anyone can write a case study or summary of experience by referring the sample statement. But when you are about to, when you are in a position to demonstrate whatever you wrote in the report, it is very important to prove the case study and the summary of experience, everything you wrote, it is belongs to you. It is your own experience. So that means if you did not, you know, write on your own, then definitely you cannot give a like a good presentation. Definitely you will end up badly. So I always recommend the candidates to prepare the case study and summary of experience, everything by on your own. Okay, so talk about the key issue. What was the issue? And then you talk about the issue, because if you have already completed the case study, and definitely you might have prepared like the options. So in every issue, we always have at least minimum 2 options. The maximum it can go like up to 3 or 4, but don't go beyond 3. So each options you can give a brief about like a 30 to 40 seconds, so that the 2 minutes, you know, time frame will take to justify the options. And then you talk about the solution. So out of 3 options, what is the best one? So which one you have adopted? Suppose if you have a plan to go Dubai, okay, from London, so how did you travel? Either by flight or by, you know, by road or by sea? And when you say that I went to Dubai by flight, you know, from London, then you say, why did you choose to, you know, fly? Why not by road? Why not by sea? So you talk about this like solutions. Okay, this can take 2 minutes. And the last stage is conclusion. So if you follow the time management of your case study presentation, then this is not going to be a challenging, you know, presentation for you. Even if you have a lack of knowledge in terms of, you know, speaking in language, and I mean, if you adapt to the system, and definitely this will help you to like get rid of your like anxiety and fear, you know, like this will definitely help you. Okay, so this tips for the case study presentation, I just developed from my own experience, and also I just developed from my perception. Okay, so if you have some other way to you know, give the presentation, you're always good to go, but please have some practice before you go to the interview. Okay. Okay, and second thing, once your case study presentation is completed, the next step is the panel will start questioning from your case study. Okay, so that means that after the 10 minutes of presentation, from 11th minutes until 20 minutes, okay, So the panel will question from your case study. As you all know, if you are a quantity surveyor, like you are a senior QA or like a contracts manager, when we are working in the like established organization, our decision making level, okay, our level of authority will be very limited. We may not have a like a power to implement any strategy or something. But when you write the case study, you always say like that you have carried out this work and you advise the management. So that means you may be like a part of that issue, but what RICS expect from you, the level of confidence. So sometimes they can ask you like such a big company and have like capacity of taking the construction around like 100 million reals or $100 million. Do you think you are the only person who dealt this issue? Do you think that your management does not have a ability to force in all these kind of issues? So how confident you are? So they can cross check your level of confidence. So you should never give up. So whatever the tricky question the panel asks, you have to stick to your your statement. So you should say always that yes, I have done this and I have handled the issue. Yes, the project were implemented by the management, but when I was working as a quantity surveyor, when something came to my knowledge, so I went to the issue and I have examined. So I just made the proposal and I made all kind of analysis. So I have taken everything. So you always try to stress your own involvement. So you always say that I did, so I have done, so I gave the like suggestion, advice to the management. So everything you have done. Just for the sake of your, question, I will give a small example and why it is essential to all say always I. If you are a quantity surveyor, we may prepare the monthly payment certifications. Okay, so when you prepare like a monthly payment certificates like IPC or some companies say billing, client bill, subcontractor bill, but commonly we say IPC. Okay, if you are a contractor representative, as a quantity surveyor, you take care of like preparing the invoices and you prepare the bill of, a quantity against the amount of work which has been completed at site, and then you submit to the project manager for his signature. Okay, so when the quantity surveyor prepared the like monthly payment invoices, do you think your project manager is going to check all your like deliverables? But basically, no, site management will doubt their quantity surveyors deliverables. So they always believe that the quantity, whatever you have, calculated in order to claim the money from the client, so it is true. So that means they have a trust on your deliverables. So they trust your like a capacity. So they trust your like integrity. So that means you should have a confidence that yes, I did this, I did this work and I have provided the required level of, advice to the management. So without me, this issue cannot be solved. So with my like a contribution only, the key issue what I have, narrated in the case study were successfully achieved. Okay. So you have to stick to your statement, which is like a level of your confidence and the professional judgment. Because when you say out of 3 options, this is the option that I propose the management to proceed further. So that means your professional judgment should be very clear. You should never give up. Okay, so they can ask you counter questions from your professional judgment, and then they will expect you to say everything that you wrote in the case study. So as I told you before, like you should never get the report from someone else to get by paying some money. This is like a worst idea, and if any of you have such kind of attitude, and I strongly recommend please get rid of those ideas from your mind, and definitely this is not going to help you. Okay, so the 3000 word case study will be covered within 10 minutes by the panel. So the 10 minutes time is like very short, and the time will pass just like that. So don't worry about the question, and make sure that you have not put anything in the case study which you do not know. Okay, so you have to write everything whatever you know, because if just for the word count purpose, if you have put some other information, high level of information from the Google, or referring some of your like a sample statement, and definitely this will kill you. Okay. And the third stage, okay. First case study presentation 10 minutes, and then another 10 minutes for your what we say, like a question from the case study. 20 minutes has gone. So now we are in the like a third stage of your interview. So the third stage is 30 minutes interview. Okay. So the panel will question you from your summary of experience, your own summary of experience, whatever you wrote in the SOE. Further optional and like a core competencies. If your pathway is like a quantity surveying and construction, so probably these are the list of competencies that you're supposed to have. Okay, like a contract practice and contracts administration level 2, commercial management, construction technology, quantification, procurement, project program, and design and economics. Okay, so the optional could be different depending upon the candidates what you have chosen at the time of competency selection. Okay, but anyway, these are the total 8 number of competencies, and the panel will take 30 minutes time to question from each one of the competency. And whenever the panel asks you a question, you have to give the brief response. So you should not always give like a one-word answer, and don't keep silence. Because if you keep silence every time the panel, question you, and eventually you are going to give a window for the assessor to, question more about from all the levels and all the statements, whatever you do. So whenever they ask something, you try to give in brief. Like an example, if the assessor asks you like, what is nominated subcontractor? Then you have to say like a nominated subcontractor means the contractor who appointed by the client directly. But however, the contractor will be, contractor has to work under the main contractor. So make some like a brief statement every time the panel asks. So if they can ask you like what is defects liability, what is decision liability, and what is like a adjudication, what is like a DAAB, what is dispute resolution. Okay, so like this they can question from like all the competency. Okay, and the fourth stage. Okay, so fourth step is like 8 minutes. So this is like a fourth and fifth, we can say like the last quadrant of the interview. So this will lead 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so they will question from you the mandatory competency and the professional ethics code of conduct. Then CPD. CPD is nothing like a continuing professional development. They will only check whether have you complied the CPD record as per RICS guidelines. I will tell you in brief. Okay. So here you have like a list of mandatory competencies. So you have 11 competencies. So all these 11 competencies will be covered within 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. Okay. And some of the common tips for you to understand what kind of questions usually cover in the ethics part. Okay. See, if you look at the last stage, like step 4, the last quadrant of like interview, the ethics like mandatory questions. Okay, so I just developed some of the common questions which is needed for the APC candidates. Like in ethics area, you should know like what are the 5 ethics, and like a professional indemnity insurance, complaint handling procedure, what is RICS, and why do you want to become MRICS, rules and regulation, gift and bribe, and professional judgment. So the 5 ethics are very important. Okay, these are the shortcuts that I have developed for you to understand, like honesty, act with integrity. This is first one. And PC, professional competence. And then good quality of service. Treat others respect and public interest. Okay, so these are the 5 ethics for RICS, which has been amended in 2021, I believe. And the final stage, okay, the final stage also this inclusive of step 4 and 5. So once they have completed the all questions, because chairperson will come, start his closure session. So he will give the greetings to the candidate. So he may take hardly 30 seconds to 2 minutes, maximum 2 seconds. So it won't go beyond that. Okay. So once you have completed the interview and your result will be published in the RICS website, and hardly in 7 days. Okay. Suppose if you attend the interview today, today is 7. So by 14th of September, you will get the result. Okay. So you may, if your interview is successful, then you may pass. If it's not successful, I mean, if it is unsuccessful, then you may get referral report. And once you, once if you are failed, and you will get the referral report 21 days from the date of your final result. So if your result date, if your interview date is 7, and your result date will be 14, and if you fail, and they will give the feedback like 21 days from the final result. That means from 14 to another 21 days. So probably, by next month, same time you will get it. Okay. So here are the list of my APC final preparation. So suppose if you are going to take like APC final preparation, okay, guidance from me. So these are the like action plan which I have developed for the candidates to understand. So here I have mentioned the list of all competencies, and each competencies, how many sessions required. So what are those levels, and what is the usual, word count for the statement that you have wrote, or if you are going to write it. Okay, some common tips for you to understand. So if you look at the mandatory competency, so I will give you 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will give you 4 sessions for mandatory competency, because it's a mandatory only. So 4 means like 4 hours. So code of conduct and health and safety, including this competency, one day I will talk to you. And second session, so I will club another 3 competencies. So like that. And then if you come to the core competency, core and optional, I'm giving the like a separate session, because the core competency is the most important in the like a final interview, because you have a 30 minutes of question and answer session from the panel. So the core and optional competencies are very important. So I just clubbed and I mentioned the time frame for the competencies, how many sessions I'm going to spend for the candidate. So contract practice and administration, it's like both are same. Suppose if your optional competency is administration, so while discussing the contract practice, I will also add the contracts administration together. Then I will give you 1 hour session, like a live session, and then commercial management 1 hour, and subsequently all the competencies. And if you take a paid session from me, so I will give you the private session. It is not going to be like a group discussion, so everything is private. So suppose when you join me, so I will give you the guidance separately. So you will get 11 sessions, okay? And then 2 sessions of mock interview I'll give you. And how many times the final interview preparation can get it. So usually I will give you 2 times. So once we have completed all the competencies during the 11th session, so I will repeat it 1 more time. Okay. And if the candidate, suppose if you want to have a 1 more discussion before the interview, and if you have time, then definitely we can arrange, we can make a time frame. We can sit for a couple of hours to recall all our older discussions, so that when you discuss all the competencies together, so it will give you a good memory. Okay. And also you can see the fees part. So I'm charging for the final interview session only 1,000 dirhams, 1,100 dirhams only. This is not a big money, so please don't negotiate. And when you take the repeated APC final preparation, and your pass rate will definitely increase, and definitely you can get passed at your first attempt. Okay, I can give you a good result. So if you stick to my action plan, okay, that's fine. One of the most important aspects in the final interview preparation is, since the final interview is 1 hour, you have an interview once, and the interview will last only 60 minutes. But when you take the final preparation from me, each competency I'm going to speak with you 60 minutes. So that means I'm going to spend in total like nearly 11 hours. Okay. And the mock interview 2 means it's roughly 13 hours. So 13 by 2, 26 hours. So to to pass like 1 hour interview, when you have 26 hours of preparation, and undoubtedly you're going to get passed. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's your own discretion. So if you really wanted to take some guidance from me, you're always good to come to me, and I'm ready to support. Okay. So thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for participating in this session. So here you can see the contact information about, to reaching me. And also here I have my email, and the session will be uploaded in YouTube, and the link and everything will be shared by the email to you. Okay. So thank you for participating in this session. Thank you so much. Thank you.